Good evening, everyone. My name's Mark Pritchard. I'm a senior arts programmer at Darebin Arts, and I'm going to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which Darebin is located. That's the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung speaking people of the Kulin Nation. So I just want to start by paying my respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge that their sovereignty was never ceded, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to tonight's information session about the Darebin Arts Speakeasy program. So I'm Mark Pritchard, my pronouns are he, him, one of the senior programmers. I'll hand over to Stella.
Hi everyone, my name's Stella Charls. I'm the other senior arts programmer in the team and my pronouns are she, her. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll hand over to Beau.
G'day. Yes, please. Thank you again so much for joining us. My name is Beau McCafferty and I am the head of programming for the City of Darebin. My pronouns are he, him. And we're really thrilled that you are spending your Tuesday night with us online.
Stella, do you want to give us an overview of the session?
Yes, I would love to. All right. Tonight's session is being recorded and will be made available on our website and on our YouTube page tomorrow. You can turn on captions if you're watching live, and you can just head to the more 3 dots up on the top if you haven't used Teams before, and scroll down to language and speech and then click show live captions. And if you're watching the recording, you can turn on closed captions there too. The agenda tonight, we're hoping to keep this really conversational and leave heaps of time for your questions. We're going to talk through the guidelines, which we've made available on our website, and I'm going to pop them in the chat in a minute as well, and give a bit of an overview about the Darebin Arts Speakeasy program and what we're looking for with our presentations call out. We'll share some information about both our venues and talk through the package that we offer, shows in our program, and then we're going to walk you through the application form, speaking to a bit more to the 3 criteria and just showing how you can interact with the Smarty Grants portal. We'll touch on the process from here, so next steps after applications close, and leave heaps of time for your questions. The way that we've set up this Teams meeting is it's called a town hall, and the best way for you to ask questions is by putting them in the chat. And I'm going to pop some things in there in the Q&A. It's like a Q&A chat, and you can pop your questions down. Other people can thumbs up it if they also have the same question, or add to a question, and we'll chat through them as we go if it's relevant to the section that we're talking about, or we can get through all the ones at the end that we haven't talked about as we go. You can also follow up with us if you'd like to talk more in person, be that in a phone call or like actually in person at one of our venues. I'll pop our emails in the chat now, and feel free to shoot us a line, and we will make a time to chat with you. If there's anything that we don't get time for tonight, or if you have more questions after tonight's session. We also are hosting an in-person info session on Tuesday the 17th of June, which is 2 weeks from tonight, at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre. This will include a tour of the venue led by Josh Sanders, who runs Northcote Town Hall, and Beau and myself will be there as well. So we can, if you leave tonight wanting to know more about our spaces in particular, please come along to that session. It'd be great to meet you in person.
It's also worth saying that there is a 30-second delay on this call, not between Stella and myself, but to you listening. There's a 30-second delay between what I'm saying and where you are now. It's just because of how MS Teams sets up this webinar. Yeah, just be aware that as your questions are coming in, we're going to receive them probably 30 seconds later that you put them in there. But yeah, so please feel free to drop questions in, and we'll answer them as they come, and we'll do plenty of banter if we feel like we're waiting for something to come through. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, there is a 30-second delay. It's a huge delay. Cool. Should I start? I'll start off by talking about the Speakeasy program generally. So Darebin Arts Speakeasy is a kind of a cluster of programs run by Darebin Council. So Darebin City Council, Northcote, Preston, Thornbury, and Reservoir, and Fairfield and beyond. So we're a council-run organisation, and the Speakeasy programs are designed to activate our two arts centres, our dedicated arts centres, which are Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre, which you can see behind me lit up in purple, and also the Darebin Arts Centre, which is up on Bell Street in Preston. Most people know us around Northcote Town Hall, so that's where the bulk of the programs happen. But we also do some occasional activations and some pretty cool productions up at Darebin Arts Centre as well. So there's a range of tiers to the program. There's presentations, which are the piece we're going to talk about tonight. But there's also our developments, which are sort of small opportunities that we'll do a call out for later in the year. And we also have a company in residence program. That is a new pilot program that we've just started this year, but we're hoping to continue in future. Stella, there's just an email and come through if you want to check that. So they're the Speakeasy program, as I'm talking about tonight, is the presentation program. We present about 8 to 10 productions each year across the two venues, mainly at Northcote Town Hall, but some at Darebin Arts Centre as well. And the productions go for 1 or 2 week seasons. These are independently produced productions of theatre, dance, circus, live art. Those are pretty broad categories. We can get into the weeds about what is or isn't live art, but generally we're looking for performing arts productions that would run for usually a 1 or 2 week season, though we do plenty of permutations and combinations beyond that as well. But that's the broad kind of genre, art form areas that we're looking at, and the kind of scale of production, if that makes sense. These are all independently produced, so you bring your whole team with you and you make the art, and then we handle the kind of venue side of things. We do a collaboration on marketing. We give a fair bit of production support and a fee. We give you rehearsal space, that kind of thing. The package of support, although we'll get to that in a second. So the program's been running for 13 years now. We're occasionally on the VCE syllabus. That's a kind of separate piece to talk about. The program's been running about 13 years and presented some pretty extraordinary work. Next year, we're looking for probably 6 or 7 productions. It really depends if people opt towards 1 or 2 week seasons and what we can kind of wrangle in the budget or how the scheduling works. There's a few, it's not a kind of fixed set of slots that we're looking for, but I would say about 6 or 7 productions is what we're aiming for. And there's probably 1 or 2 that so far have rolled over that were programmed for this year, but for various reasons have moved into the following year. We're looking for productions that have had some kind of development. So these aren't just ideas that you've come up with now. These should have had some sort of prototyping or testing. You may have done, that may have just been, you've finished the script or written, fairly confident draft of the script. You may have done a reading, or you may have done a series of experiments to kind of prototype the work. So you should be coming in with some sense of like that creative, the major kind of imagining phase has happened, and now we're working towards production. So this is a point where you start to think about audience, you start to think about how this work can be framed and received, and be ready to kind of chat to our marketing team, chat to our production manager about what you're going to need, and be ready to work towards that production phase, even though the production is next year. Conscious that we're in council, we're launching a program each year, so we do have to be a little more ahead of the game than you might do if you were just presenting it in a hall that you'd hired yourself. Sometimes this program gets framed as a grants program, but that is not really the full picture. It is really more of a partnership. We do see these as collaborations that we're working together. We're going to want to kind of get in and chat about your ideas. It's very much you making the work, but we are probably more involved than some other independent venues like Theatre Works or Dance House. I imagine it's a kind of deeper collaboration where we will strategize on marketing. Our production supervisor will want to talk to you about how the work could be delivered effectively in our venue. Just keep that in mind, that it's not just a kind of giving you 18 grand and walk away. It's very much a collaboration, which we love to do and are excited to do. So be ready to be up for that journey is what I want to say. do recommend you have like a strong team behind you, and having a production manager and a producer is pretty valuable. Just with you're going to be working with a pretty big team here at Northcote Town Hall or Darebin Arts Centre, and we find that as we get towards the crunchy end of a production, if you're producing as well as production managing and you're performing in it, and you've written it or directed it, that can be a huge demand on artists. So we expect you to come with a fuller team. It shouldn't just be one person coming to us with an application. Really start to build a team around you at this application phase. Of course, your team will grow as we get closer to production. That's probably all I've got to say on that. Stella, do you want to talk us through the venues themselves?
Yeah, I would love to. And I'm also going to share my screen and show some photos of the venues as I go through. One moment. How's that? You see, still my face? Whoop, it's a delay.
There you are.
The delay, it's working. There we go.
Live.
The 30-second delay. All right, so where programming works into 2 venues and 3 spaces. The majority of works in the Speakeasy presentation program happen at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre, which is the beautiful building that you see on your screen now. That's on High Street in Northcote. It's back open after some closure for maintenance reasons, and we've had 4 successful seasons so far this year. The largest space at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre is the main hall. This is a photo of the inside of the main hall with the drapes open. It's got Art Deco features. The space is pretty flexible and can accommodate a range of setups and presentation modes. There is a static truss in the ceiling to support lighting, audio, and AV, and there are black drapes which can be drawn to fully enclose the performance space and make a black box looking like this. I would say that sort of 80% of seasons in the main hall probably use like an end-on configuration with the seating bank up one end and the curtains drawn, but we are really open to supporting alternative configurations. The seating bank can seat up to 108 patrons with 2 rows on the floor, and we're open to having only 1 row on the floor for sightlines as well, with a flat floor stage of approximately 11 by 11 metres. Studio 1 that's the seating bank under the balcony, which sometimes performers have opted to use. And then this is Studio 1, which is our smaller space at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre. This is an old photo. It's just recently been repainted fully black instead of that charcoal grey with a black ceiling. And I've heard rumours that they're going to paint the floor black as well. This is a more traditional black box performance space. The walls have been fitted with like a sound management infrastructure. And there's black drapes just at the north end of the space, as you can see. The standard configuration is using the smaller seating bank, which can seat up to 70 patrons with 2 rows on the floor, with a flat floor stage of approximately 10 by 10 metres. I should point out that their full tech specs are available on our website. They're hyperlinked in the guidelines, and they're also on the venue pages on the Darebin Arts website. Give us a buzz if you can't find those. But this is a photo of the bank in Studio 1. And this is our second venue, the Darebin Arts Centre on Bell Street in Preston. The space that we program into is the theatre in the Darebin Arts Centre, which is a fully equipped proscenium arch with an orchestra pit, counterweight fly system, and fixed seating for up to 385 people. So this theatre really suits works of scale across art forms. The structure of the building is load rated for live circus, and speakeasy seasons in this venue are usually shorter in length, usually a week or 3 to 4 performances, or come with a really compelling plan for reaching significant new audiences. we've had some great success with seasons in the last 2 years. And yeah, we're really open to creative and compelling ideas about that really dream into this space. So yeah, really, if you have something that you think would be a perfect fit, we'd love to hear from you. Productions in this theatre at Darebin Arts Centre would be considered for only 4 months of 2026, Feb, March, May and October. But yeah, just select any of the ones that you can do and chat to us if you have any specific questions about this space. And that's a photo of the stage. All right. I'm going to stop sharing now. There we go.
Hello, I'm going to talk about the offer. So the package of support from Darebin Arts Speakeasy is a pretty substantial offer in terms of independent productions. So we give you, first up, a cash amount. So for a 2-week season, the support is usually a $20,000 fee, and that's for you to do with what you wish, really. Pay your artists and usually pay for design materials, production costs, that kind of thing. So $20,000 is the standard offer for excluding GST for a 2-week season of 10 shows. So usually playing Wednesday to Sunday is a standard season over 2 weeks, but there's different combinations, as I say. You can add matinees, etc. So $20,000 would be for a 2-week season. 1-week season is usually $12,000. So that would be 5 or 6 shows playing again Wednesday to Sunday, maybe a Saturday matinee, depending on what you want to do. We can always add shows if the season is selling really well through negotiation with you. So that's the standard fees, but we do other packages. If there's a different type of shape of show you want to do, please chat to us or just talk about that in your application. Staffing, we of course do the front of house and box office. That's all covered by us. And there's some production support. So we'll give you some production support during the bump in period. So it's definitely a supervising technician. There'll always be a technician with you through that time. And there may be some other kind of casual techs dropping in to help you with your bump in, but you'll probably want to bring your own personnel then as well. And then during the run of the show, there's a tech on duty. So there'll be a duty technician who's there, who's really the interface between the show and the venue. They're not there to operate the show. We don't provide an operator. That's something that you would need to provide, 1 or 2 operators, depending on on the needs of your show. This tech supervisor, the tech on duty, is there to help kind of any problem solving around that and really be the liaison between the show, your show team, and the rest of the venue. So yeah, they're there to supervise, but not there to operate. Space and equipment. So you'll usually have a 1-week bump in period. You'd often bump in on the Monday and then open on the following Wednesday. And so we'll support you through obviously the bump in and the production period. And then there's also the rehearsal period as well. So we'll give you usually 4 weeks of rehearsal time in one of our spaces, the upstairs meeting rooms at Northcote Town Hall. You can see them glowing pink and purple in my background. Or there's some other studios as well. So we'll work with you to find the right space based on what we have. So we'll give you 4 weeks of in-kind rehearsal space. There's equipment. So you'll see the tech specs on our website, and they're linked through the guidelines that Stella has shared. So that shows you all the equipment that's attached to different spaces. So do get your production team or anyone you've got on board at the moment, designers, just have a look over that and see if we've got the right gear to support what you want to do or what you know you want to do at this point. And of course, lighting desk, sound desk, all of that kind of stuff. All of that is included in the tech specs that are linked through the document. So make sure you have a look over those to make sure the show that you're imagining is actually going to suit the space that you're pitching towards. Rehearsal time will cover, up to 4 weeks of space. We can do more than that. We can do different combinations. We can space that out. It really depends what you need. So we'll chat to you once we've sort of made an offer. We can talk to you about what kind of shape of rehearsals you want to do. And we'll also give marketing and publicity support. So we hire a publicist for most productions, unless we agree that we don't really need one for that show. And we cover a fair bit of marketing. So we'll design some gorgeous posters and make some collateral and do a bit of a social spend. There's often rock posters. It's a different package depending on the show. So we'll work together with you on a marketing strategy, talk about the selling points of your show, and then we put a bit behind it. Marketing is a collaborative venture. We always find that shows will sell really well when the artists are out there spruiking that work as well and sharing it with your networks, particularly with new work. That relationship between the artist and the audience is really key. So we really do work with you on how you market it. So yeah, selling is a kind of shared responsibility. It's also to say that top of the production fee, there is a box office split. So we divide that 80 to 20 between us and the artist. So Darebin takes 80% and the artist takes 20%. We've tried different versions where we do a bigger box office split to the artist, but offer less cash up front. And it always just works out better for the artist if we just give you the cash up front and then we're taking the bulk of the box office risk. But obviously it's a shared project. We both just want to fill that seeding bank however we can. So yeah, we'll work together with you on that. But yeah, an 80-20 split, that's pretty standard across all of our productions. I think that's the headlines for the package of support. Stella, shall I hand back to you to talk through the application form?
Thank you. Yeah. All right. I'm going to share my screen again and actually just bring the form up on the screen as we talk through, but we'll still be monitoring the chat. So sing out if you have any questions as we go. Here we go. So you should see the Darebin Arts website now. This is the homepage. The leading banner on the Darebin Arts homepage is apply to present with Speakeasy. If you click through, you'll see this is the landing page for the applications. It's got a summary of the information, a link to the guidelines. I tried to add them to the chat, but it wouldn't let me add a PDF, but I popped the link in that Q&A discussion chat as well that you can find. And then you click on this apply now button and it will take you through to Smarty Grants, which is a relatively straightforward platform. We haven't had much feedback about it in previous years. We've worked to make this application form as short and straightforward as possible. This landing page just gives you a little bit of information about how to submit, and you a few things that's worth pointing out is a number of people can work on the same form at the same time using the same login details. You can save as you go. Once you've set up an account and you see your My Submissions page, it'll have the draft of your form there. So if you want to start working on it, you can jump back in at any time until you submit. And you can preview the form up here, which means you can read through the whole thing before you start, which is helpful. And that's what I'm going to do now. This is a preview. Cool. So the first page of the form just asks for some general information. This isn't assessed. It's just your contact details, basically. Yeah, it's helpful to have a lead contact on each project just for admin, but you can also detail other members of your team in the next section. This brings us to the project overview. We ask for a project title, lead artist names, optional, you can add in the name of your company or collective, a short description of the work. We find this is a really helpful tool for us because the applications are assessed by a panel, which include at least 3 members of our programming team, along with at least 3 other independent artist assessors. But we also, in the first stage of assessing, share applications with some of our colleagues across production, ticketing and marketing for feedback. And so it's really useful for us to have a 1-sentence description of the project, naming the art form and the main idea. That's in the artist's words rather than our interpretation of your project. It just means that we're kind of being artist-led right from the very beginning. So an example of this is an ensemble dance work about artificial intelligence. But yeah, just a useful thing to note. You can detail as many of your team as you have assembled at the time of applying, names and roles, link to a website if you have one. You can add bios if you wish, it's optional. Note art form, your preferred season length between a 1 or 2 week season, or you can give some information if you imagine an alternate season shape. Can your project be supported with us if you don't secure support or funding from any other organisations in addition to Darebin support? Is this the Melbourne premiere of the work? Again, it's not, it doesn't have to be. And what is your preferred presentation space between the main hall at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre, Studio One, Northcote, or the theatre at Darebin Arts Centre? I guess, yeah, it's worth mentioning that, you know, you're not wedded to the space that you tick in this application. If you're really unsure, you're welcome to tick multiple spaces. I think you might want to come along to the in-person info session and venue tour, or you can make a separate time to have a site visit with us. There are multiple stages after applications close where we meet with the artists on the long list and the short list, and there will be multiple opportunities to have a site visit or talk to the production team if you want to know more about a particular space. So it's totally okay not to know at this point. And then tick which months in 2026 could the production be presented between February and November. And we just love you to select any and all viable options. There are 3 key criteria that applications are assessed against. They are creative and cultural merit, viability of the project, and impact of the project. And so these are the 3 things that the assessment panel look at and score against. I'll just quickly talk through creative and cultural merit. In this section, the panel wants to know about the creative and cultural value of your project. They may consider the ways in which the project is original, compelling, imaginative, and timely, clearly articulated and rigorously thought out, demonstrates an awareness of the work's artistic and cultural context, and interrogates current community concerns and celebrations. So the 2 boxes here, we want to hear more about your project idea, describing the creative project using clear, concise, and accessible language. I think, you know, it's worth just noting that you don't need to use any art speak or jargon. What's your vision for the work? Why did you want to make it? Why now? So in this section, just tell us a bit of a story about the work and anything that you think is relevant. We love the second question is about the development history. So what work has been done on the project so far and what more needs to be done. I think, like, we understand that we're looking for works to be presented next year, all the way up until the end of next year. And so this is an opportunity here for you to talk through like a roadmap to that presentation season. Like Mark mentioned earlier, we're looking for work that are ready to, they don't have to go into production. They might need a couple more months of development and rehearsal, but they need to be kind of at a point where you can articulate what steps would be necessary to get you through to opening night and what steps are necessary before we have like a rigorous conversation about a marketing plan or a production meeting. So it's totally okay if you're not, you know, if that's a few steps down the line, but I think you can use this opportunity to tell us a story about what those next steps are, what things need support from us, and what things you're planning to do or have in train already if you've got developments with other organisations or in other venues or anything else. Then we'd love to hear about it. And you can add any supporting documentation here, so any links to draft scripts, project treatment, or documentation from previous development if available. And there's no limit to how many things you can add as support material. Have I left anything you would add?
That sounds pretty
Dean?
good. I think that, yeah, key to support materials, remember that it's supporting what's in your application. So don't assume the panels are going to read and comprehend your script in detail. Make sure that the project idea is really clear in this, where we're pitching the creative cultural merit and the development history is all there. And then the support materials really to back that up and go, this is how that works. This is how it's how I've prototyped it. So yeah, a script, support material, video of a development, anything like that is really great just to show us what you're up to so far. We can get a real feel of the project. Next up is criteria number 2. So that's viability. We're looking at the viability of the project. So in this section, we're asking the panel to consider do you have a skilled team around you with the demonstrated capacity to deliver the proposed project? So we'll be looking at who's on the team, the buyers, etc. Is it technically able to be delivered in the chosen venue? Is it can we hang what you want to hang from the roof? Those kinds of things. Do we have the equipment that you're expecting the venue to have? So can it be technically achieved in where we're proposing to have it? You demonstrate an understanding of the show's target audiences and how to reach them, and demonstrate the ability to deliver the work in the time frame required. Basically, are you on track to deliver it? So in the first section, the only if required, evidence of any further support. So if it's leaning on the support from another organisation, then yeah, do just let us know. Show that we have to believe that that's possible and it's going to come around. So production details, just describe the major elements of the production as you envisage it. What is physically going to be in the space? Are there any major technical requirements we should be aware of? If you know any further details at this stage, please share them in the relevant section below. So we're just saying, describe the production. What are we going to see on stage? There's going to be a car. I need to bring a horse inside. I want to take the audience for a journey around the building. Those kinds of things, because that'll help us go, yeah, is that possible or not? So anything you know at this point, we know this is the premiere of the production. It usually is. So you may not have the full sense of the set, but if you've got some essentials or if you've got a vision so far, it's great for us to get a look and get a handle on what you're looking at, what you're picturing. We've then just got some smaller text boxes where we just asked for details on lighting, sound, set rigging, AV and projection. Some productions may know very little at this point. Others may know a lot. You may know, oh yeah, I definitely need 3 projectors, or I definitely am going to need to hang someone from the roof, or I'm looking at bringing in this kind of lighting. It's going to be quite an elaborate lighting design. Sound is going to be very detailed. I'm going to need microphone. I don't know, anything you know at this point. Basically, we want to get across the essentials. If the rest can be discovered and we can work together on those answers, then that's fine. But if there are some kind of essential pieces to how your production needs to be delivered, then we just ask that you detail what you know here, just in plain language. Our production manager will look over it, our production supervisor, and then we can talk more about it from there. It's not going to make or break your production at this point, but we'll probably come back with further questions when we get to the second round of the application process. So just tell us what you know at this point. And then audience and marketing. So who are your target audiences for the show, and what ideas have you got about reaching them or getting them to come along? What are the major talking points you'd like them to engage with? So we're asking you to start to think about how you're going to frame this work for an audience, that you think the big selling points are this, this, and this. This is the journey you want to take the audience on. Anything that you know at this point about who this work is going to be for. There's some pretty standard audience, answers about an arts audience or a 20 to 40 inner Melbourne kind of audience. There's some sort of standard answers. But if there's any particular communities you want to bring in, then here's a great place to talk about them and start to talk to us about how you would imagine the work being framed. Then additional support. So this is kind of part of the viability. We're conscious that we're not paying for the entire production. You may need to pursue some other funding. You may be doing some development off site. You may have a community partner or another organisation involved. We'd just love to know who else you're looking to and how you have thought through how you're going to resource the production. We're not going to ask for a budget. You may notice that there's no question about send us your budget, and we really understand that we are often the first investor in the production, but you may be looking to other partners in order to kind of fill out whatever else other resources you need for the show. You may not, and that's totally fine, but it's good for us to know if it's going to hinge on another organisation or if there's a great possibility there of us collaborating with someone else to deliver it. So, that's the additional support there. And now we'll move on to the third criteria.
All right. The third criteria is impact of the project. So a little bit of preamble. Our programming priorities are guided by Darebin's 2041 community vision, which positions Darebin as a place that nurtures an equitable, vibrant and connected community, respects and supports First Nations people, valuing country, and commits to mitigating the climate emergency. So that's the larger kind of vision that our program is a part of. We're a council venue, and underpinning this vision is council's strategic goals for making Darebin a centre for creative industry and the arts. We've put a link in there to the 2021-25 council plan. We're waiting with bated breath for the new council plan, but I guess that's all linked. If you would like to have a look through, you're welcome to. But the key things we've pulled out below in terms of Darebin's strategic goals, and we'd love to hear which of these resonate with you and your project. So do you feel that your project aligns with any of the following? Deepens Darebin's commitment to First Nations communities, helps to build an inclusive and empowered community, promotes Darebin as a centre for creative industries and the arts, which I guess feels like, a no-brainer for pretty much all applicants, increases access to our council's services and assets by groups who are underrepresented, and ensuring Darebin is a leader in responding to the climate emergency, supporting community to engage and drive this dialogue. So in this section, we're asking you to help our panel assess the potential impact of your project. The panel might consider the project's potential to offer audiences something original, unexpected, and entertaining, align meaningfully with that 2041 community vision, make an original contribution to a cultural conversation, push the artist's or company's practice forward, engage meaningfully with underrepresented parts of the community, or contribute to the vitality and creativity of Darebin. And we'd love you to use this opportunity to discuss the impact this project will have for the community and for your own artistic practice. So that's pretty broad and open for interpretation. I guess you can pick as many goals as resonate with you. It's worth mentioning that we're not looking for a project that champions all these priorities and ticks all these boxes. You don't need to argue every point of worthiness, but you can tell a story here about the values that drive you and what you believe the potential for this work is. Why does this work matter to you, matter to your art form, or matter to your community? There's also a question here about access and inclusion, asking what strategies are you putting in place to ensure the process and production is accessible and inclusive. We're keen to talk about access right from the start of a collaborative relationship with you, but we're also interested in this section to hear if the work that you're making has any culturally sensitive or heavy themes. This is an opportunity for you to demonstrate how you plan to approach that safely for both your team and for your audience. I think
that's pretty good. So the process, where am I? Here I am. There you go. So the process from here, so the applications do close at the end of June. Sorry, I just lost the date. End of June, the 29th of June at midnight, 11:59. And then we go through an assessment process. So we recruit a panel of independent artists, probably 3, maybe 4, as well as the Darebin team. And we'll assess the applications together against those criteria. And that's step 1 of the process. Last year, we received 62 applications, if that gives you a good idea. 62 applications, ended up offering about 8 to 10 slots in this year. So keep that in mind. So that's step 1 is the panel meeting. We'll assess it, we rate them separately, and then come together and discuss them as a group, look at those rankings, and then come away with a shortlist. And then the shortlist is to move towards the stage 2, which is then the interviews. So basically, we'll anyone from there, we've sort of heard we're excited about your project and we think we can do it, but we want to meet up with you and chat more. We might have some questions. That's when our production and venue team will have a look over the applications and they'll feed in any thoughts they have or any questions they've got us to bring to you. We'll also bring the venue manager into the conversation so we can talk more about the kind of ins and outs of the venue, and they're part of this programming conversation too. So that's the stage 2 meeting. So after that, stage 3 is then for us to make an initial offer once we're confident that we can deliver it, and that then we will come back with you with this is how we think we can support it. We'll talk dates at that point, and any kind of key milestones, and see if it's viable for you. That question of is it contingent on other funding? That's where that will kind of come into play. And we'll sort of negotiate season details from there. And from there, we confirm the season with you and contract it. And then we would plan to launch the first half of 26 productions in about the end of November, usually. So that would usually do a sort of first half, second half launch. So season 1 to season 2. So that's the kind of process from here. We'll notify everyone by the 31st of August. Thanks, Stella. We'll notify everyone by the 31st of August, either way, whether you've moved on to stage 2 or whether you haven't been successful. We'll let everyone know. And that's in time because I know there's a Creative Australia round, which a lot of our projects will choose to go for to kind of top up the production funds. So we will basically make sure we let everyone know, so you know whether you need to put an application for that. And let us support, of course. We're always getting behind trying to help you find extra funding. Then from there, we are able to give some feedback. It can be limited. We can't share everything, but if you reach out to us about that and do want some feedback on your application, we will do our best to give you something useful to take forward. We really do appreciate the time that everyone puts into these applications. I know it can feel like throwing your project into a void, and yeah, that it's incredibly competitive, as I hope I'm making clear. But yeah, we really do take each application deeply seriously. I know the panel does. The panel are artists just like you, so they are looking at these projects with an open heart and excited and always want to support so many more than we're actually able to do. Keep in mind that it's a cross art form panel. That will be one piece of advice, is that the panelists are usually coming from theatre and dance and circus, or have a range of disciplines coming in to assess the applications. So think about any kind of really art form specific language that you're using, or just think about how you might pitch it to make sure that artists from different disciplines will get excited about your work. So it does feel interesting. We are in a cross art form program. You'll be sitting next to dance works, you'll be sitting next to devised works, text-based works, circus works, all of that, all come into the mix with this program. Stella, what's next? Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll just touch on other ways you can engage with us beyond this presentation program. Mark mentioned some of these opportunities a little bit earlier in the presentation, but just to recap here, we're working to build a community of practice across the Speakeasy program, but especially based at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre, and on level 1, the purple level that you can see in Mark's background. We've been piloting a companies in residence program this year, and we'll have a call out opening for that in late July. And our call out for developments for 2026 will open in late September and be open throughout Melbourne Fringe. So there are 2 other opportunities that are yet to come for 2026. We've also been piloting through the Companies in Residence program, piloting some scratch nights and special events. So we're looking forward to working on more of those. You can find out more by following the Darebin Arts Speakeasy on Instagram or signing up to our e-news. There are going to be some rolling opportunities to participate in those programs as both artists and as audiences, and we're really interested in facilitating a space, a kind of easy, non-competitive way for artists to meet each other, to find a home here within our venue and to connect with our program in lots of different ways. So we're also piloting a spare room program as part of that, which is a way for us to activate unused rooms of Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre. So that hasn't launched on our website yet, but you can email Beau, Mark, or myself. I've popped our emails in the discussion. I hope that has come through, but yeah, you can also find them in the guidelines and on the website. So if you are in need of a space for whatever you're working on, we're kind of interested in quick turnaround space activation. So if we have a room that's not being used within the next 3 months and you have something you need a room for, you can let us know and we'll direct you to a form that you can fill out, and we might be able to support that. So they're just some other ways that you can engage with Speakeasy and the work we do beyond this presentation call out.
Might go to some questions now. I'm conscious of the 30-second delay on this call, but if anyone has a question, please pop it in the Q&A and we will do our best to answer it. Some things that often come up, people do ask about music programming. I've got a band. Can I do a one-off performance as part of this program? Look, music in terms of bands isn't really part of this program. This is more about productions of theatre, dance, circus, live art. Of course, we have music powered works in there. There'll be work later in the year that has a orchestra and some dancers, but we're looking at kind of full productions that would run for a longer season. We do have a program of live music that we've been piloting last year up at Darebin Arts Centre and earlier this year. But that'll be a kind of separate, that's a separate program that we're looking at how we might continue in the future. But for the moment, if you're essentially a band doing a gig, then that's not really part of this program. Families shows, we are open to families shows for families audience. It's a different audience to the classic speakeasy audience, which is for adult audiences. So usually, artists or connected to the creative community in some way. So we are open to families shows, and we do some sort of programming each year. We don't have a kind of built-in audience or super regular programming around families. So it'll be worth thinking about your audience development strategy, how you're going to connect with families. People do assume we can kind of lean on Darebin Council or Darebin will have all these networks, but that's not always the case. So it's worth thinking about what you want to bring to the party in terms of that.
Someone asked below about working with can a speakeasy production be presented as part of Melbourne Fringe? And the short answer is yes. Definitely, we love working with Fringe, and we're keen to always have one season, one speakeasy season in the Fringe program. In the past, we've had multiple seasons. But I guess more broadly, we used to have a section in the application form where you could tick what festivals you would dream being a part of, and we've taken that out, but you're welcome to mention any kind of any sort of natural fit for your show when you're talking in the question around like audience development or what audiences you see for your program. You can talk about a particular festival audience there. Yeah.
Do you have any info about your audience profiles? That's a great question. Look, we know that about a third of them live in Darebin, so live in Northcote, Preston, and the surrounding areas in Darebin, and 2/3, I think, live kind of elsewhere, generally often kind of north of the river. So the Marybeck Council, there's a lot of audience that comes from there, or Yarra, or the city of Melbourne. Generally these kinds of areas. It's a new work program, so there's often artists in the audience. That's a pretty fair percentage. I don't have much more demographic data than that, but anything I should add to that, Stella?
Not that I can think of.
Cool. We want to learn more about our audience, that's for sure. But definitely across art form audience, and we definitely do have theatre audiences coming to see dance works, and dance audiences coming to see theatre works, and circus, etc. Like there is kind of some interesting crossover that we're excited to keep nurturing. But yeah, very creative and engaged audience. It's definitely an adventurous audience that wants to see new work.
We have a pretty low price point, I think, compared to some, our average sort of, our ticket prices range between sort of like $20 and $35 or something. I think we're quite an accessible program for people to come along to, and we get really positive feedback about that as well.
Yep, $37 is the upper ticket price, is the full price, or $33 and $30 for concessions or Darebin residents. We do black ticks and we do preview tickets at $20, so the average ticket price works out at about $29. But yeah, we do pride ourselves on keeping it accessible and encouraging audiences to take an adventure on a new project without having too high a ticket price in order to do it. Just conscious that there's so many artists in our audience as well. Other questions, please keep them coming through. Non-scripted works are totally fine. We have included a bit where it says you could attach the script here, but that is not the be-all and end-all. Of course, work can be made in so many ways, so just try and give us some kind of support material that shows where you're coming from. But definitely doesn't have to be a scripted work.
There's a question here. Oh, you go, so.
VCE playlisting is sort of something else I flagged up the top that we do. Some of our projects do apply to get on the VCE playlist, but with the timing this year, that wouldn't really be possible for next year, just because of when we've done this call out. The VCE applications are open now for 2026. So by the time we notify you that you've been shortlisted, we would have missed that round. So we are open to, if you want to start talking about kind of 2027 and beyond and have something you think would be suitable for syllabus selection, then you're welcome to chat to us kind of outside of this, chat to us about 2027. So yeah, maybe send us an email if you want to have that conversation. We're totally up for it. But in terms of 2026 playlisting, the timing is not going to work out this year. Are we interested in musical theatre projects? Yeah, great question. Yeah, we're totally open to that. I would say we don't have as many. Might be worth thinking about the acoustic qualities of the town hall and whether it's the right fit. But Darebin Arts Centre could totally support a music work. There's an orchestra pit in there. So yeah, musical theatre we're totally open to. Just remember that you're pitching to a cross art form panel. There'll be a choreographer on that panel, probably a theatre maker who doesn't make musical theatre, maybe someone from physical theatre or circus, or yeah, just we sit in this cross art form thing. So we're not really looking for kind of quotas of different art forms. It's really a kind of a blend, really. But yeah, musical theatre, we're totally open to that.
There's a question about what's the position on shows which are significantly creatively developed but still require a team to be built to be fully supported, and Beau's responded in writing, but I'll just read his response. Many applications in this position, and we encourage you to include as many creatives as currently on board at the time of applying, or at least paint a bit of a picture for us as to your roadmap for building a team. Yeah, I think that the thing we see too often is just one person trying to wear all the hats as the lead artist, the producer, the production manager, and it's a really challenging position to be in. So in terms of how we assess viability, we're just interested in knowing more about the shape of the team and how you sort of plan to mount the season in a way that is safe for you and as least stressful as possible.
We often get questions about remounts. Can I remount a production if it's already been presented in Melbourne? It's a bit of yes and no on that question. So we really want to, this is a new work program. So if it's just a straight remount, you've already fully done the production and you're just going to move it up to town hall, that's not really what the program is designed for. So we're not against it, but it's not something the panel usually goes for. They usually want to support something new being created. That said, we have had works that had like what you would call a pilot season, perhaps. So we had a fantastic work, Paradise Lost, that Bloomshed presented. That was presented in 2022, I want to say. So that had a season at the Butterfly Club, where it was, obviously a much smaller production when you're working in that space, not the full set, but they really made a great case about how it had sort of had this great pilot week there and then was ready to kind of amp up. They were going to give it a fuller design. They were going to rework some of the materials. So we could see that Darebin's investment in that production was going to take it to the next level and support it to then getting a fuller life beyond that. So it had a ticketed season at another venue, but you could really see that taking it to the town hall is going to take it somewhere else. Usually if it's just a straight remount, that's not so appealing to the panels. So think about whether this is what the development history is of it is, and then how you're going to pitch it so that it feels like a new work in some ways.
I've had an email from someone just saying that they can't find the Q&A function, which hopefully appears in the bar at the top for you. But if for whatever reason you're struggling to find that, you're welcome to email a question through. Just reply to the email that you receive with the link, and we'll get that and we can answer it on the call.
Teams can be a little fiddly if you don't have the app. If you're just working out of the browser, it doesn't always have all the functionality. But feel free to email us outside of this and we're happy to chat. Any other questions coming through there? That might be it. I want to give it 30 seconds just to make sure no one else has got any. What else? Any more? Thank you so much for...
Maybe you said this, but another common question is, can I apply with the same project that I've applied to before? You're welcome to. It's a different panel every year. They're just worth mentioning. So while the panel also includes some of our programming team, but we always have some fresh independent panelists each year. So
And
You're
we've absolutely
welcome.
seen projects that have come up a couple of times through the application round, and then something in the zeitgeist or in the audio in the panel sees it in a different way and goes, absolutely, that's top of the list. So yes, that's totally fine to do. If you're
There's
working on
another
a
question. Yeah.
if you're working on a historical project, does it have to relate to present day issues? Yeah, I mean, we can look to history to look to the present day. We are looking for contemporary work, things that are kind of forward looking and think about those kind of impact criteria. Why, and I guess the kind of creative innovation in the work as well. Why is it urgent, interesting, that kind of thing? So yeah, there's nothing to sort of limit where the time is set, or if it's a kind of verbatim project looking at a historical event, that can all be really exciting. So really just think about how you pitch it and why make it now, and you're going to be assessed by other artists. So keep that in mind. They're going to be looking for what feels urgent, relates to kind of community concerns and celebrations, and is going to speak to the audience right now. I hope that answered that question. Any other questions coming up? Might be ready to wrap, I think. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm just going to linger a little bit while, in case any other questions bubble through. But yeah, thanks so much. We really do appreciate the time and effort people put into applications. We know how challenging it is, and as I say, you're just throwing them into the void sometimes. But yeah, it is appreciated, and we're always wowed by the projects that come through and the artists that we get to have on our radar. And there's many tiers of ways to engage us. So if we think this is actually a great candidate for development, or if there's another conversation we want to have with you, like, don't feel like it's the end of the conversation there. So we do try and look at these projects holistically and find other ways of engaging, and it gives us a great sense of what's in the zeitgeist right now, who's making and what they're wanting to talk about. It's always a really wonderful time to hear what artists are cooking up for the following year. So thank you already, and please reach out if anything comes up, any concerns with the application process. We do try and make it as accessible as possible. That's probably all. It's 6:56. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.